Now, Michael Myers, as we all know, does not like to be without his mask, but there's actually, believe it or not, a pretty rich tradition within the Halloween movies of other characters trying on Michael's mask from time to time. And it doesn't always end too well for them. But we're going to take a look at those every time that we've rounded up where this has happened, and it has happened pretty much in some way in just about each of the movies, almost all of the movies at some point. Um, so we're going to start with a flashback all the way back to 1978, but not just to the 1978 film. We're flashing all the way back to Halloween 1963. That's right. The first time any character ever inconceivably picked up Michael Myers' mask and had the gall to put it to their face on film in any of these films was in that opening scene. Before we've even seen Michael, before we've even seen Michael put on his iconic clown mask, it is actually Judith's boyfriend, Steve, who first picks up that iconic clown mask and playfully puts it on his face. After Judith says, "Oh, Michael's around somewhere," and they're all flirting, this is the moment right here. This is Judith's boyfriend putting on Michael's mask. They then go flirtingly up the stairs, and he takes the mask in his hand as they go, ends up dropping it at the top of the stairs, only to be picked up by young Michael not long after that. And Steve, of course, actually lives to tell the tale, you know? I mean, whatever happened to Steve? Somebody needs to revisit that character. But yeah, unlike so many characters that tried on Michael's mask, Steve got away with it. He survived. But could it be said that maybe Judith would be alive if Steve hadn't touched Michael's mask? Maybe it was this moment that actually set young Michael off. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. But that is far from the only time that somebody else has tried on Michael's mask, or one of Michael's masks, or even a Michael esque mask. And that brings us to the 1981 sequel, Halloween 2. And of course, no discussion about, I don't want to say imposter Myers, but no discussion of characters wearing a Michael Myers mask not being Michael Myers is complete without perhaps the most iconic one of all, the great, the late great, the tragic Ben Tramer from Halloween 2, rocking his insanely, wildly blonde Michael Myers hair mask. It's like a California surfer Michael Myers hairdo, maybe. Ah, poor Ben Tramer, though. And again, if he hadn't been wearing that mask, if he had been wearing any mask other than that particular one, then Tramer might still be with us. R.I.P. Ben Tramer. Justice for Ben Tramer, right? All right, so that brings us to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Yes, the one without Michael Myers, you're thinking. So surely no one in this film wears a Michael Myers mask. And okay, well, yeah, that's probably technically true. I mean, it is technically true, but it's also technically true that Michael is actually in the film. It's just in very meta way before meta was even a thing. Silver Shamrock was like the first meta film, if you ask me, because they put a commercial for John Carpenter's Halloween, the movie, airing on TV in Season of the Witch. So in Season of the Witch, Michael Myers is a character. Halloween is a movie. John Carpenter is a director. And so in that sense, when Chalice is looking at this TV set in the film and we're all seeing Michael Myers in Halloween 3, it being so meta, what we're looking at is in fact not Michael Myers, but we're looking at actually an actor named Nick Castle playing a character named Michael Myers in a 1978 film that exists in our real world and also happens to exist in in Season of the Witch. So, follow my logic here. Trust me, it makes sense. If you're me anyway. What we're looking at is, in fact, a character named Nick Castle as an actor who is portraying Michael Myers. So it is somebody else other than Michael Myers wearing the Michael Myers mask. Maybe not the same as these other ones we're going to talk about, but that's our Season of the Witch reference. Now, let's talk about Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Because it was the return of Michael Myers in such a big way. And one of the coolest scenes in Halloween 4 is when not one, but 3 different characters, we're going to call them the pranksters, are each seen wearing Michael Myers masks. Remember, this is the same film where we see the mask hanging in the drugstore as Jamie Lloyd's looking for her clown costume. We see Michael grab it and put it on, just grab it out. So by now, 10 years later, these masks, they're being sold in stores. And here, this was always one of my favorite scenes in H4 because it's Loomis and they're actually, Sheriff Meeker is with him, and for a minute they're thinking this is Michael, and then they see this other one show up. Like this is the first one they see, and then they see this guy over here by this trash can, another guy, and he kind of walks up by Loomis, and by now, as a viewer, if you've never seen this before, the first time watching it, it's a pretty wild scene to see, because for a minute you're thinking, well, this, is this going to be some cult of Myers or something? And then we even get a third one that comes up on this other side of them. He's never in focus, but he's right over there. And it's just this cool little sequence of just what the hell is happening here. And then, of course, Loomis goes to fire his gun, and that's when they all take off their masks. And this guy takes off his, and they each do, and they run away. And they're kind of laughing. And so we've got, Prankster, there's 3, there's number 2, and there's number 1. Prankster 1 here, 2, and 3. So that's at least 3 more characters right there in Halloween 4 that are clearly seen donning the iconic shape mask. And then, of course, 1 year later, 1989, brings us Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. And again, it's the same. It's just a year later, so those masks are still out there, and kids are still being kids, because in Halloween 5, you'll recall the character Spitz even puts on the jumpsuit, puts on the Myers mask. He comes running out of the party acting like he's stabbing. Again, the cops threaten to shoot him. He takes off his mask and goes running off toward the barn with Samantha. By this time, it's not even just anonymous pranksters. They take that prankster idea, and now it's one of the primary characters in the film. Spitz himself, blatantly wearing the Michael Myers costume. But considering what happens to him a few minutes later, I mean, he kind of has the best night of his life with Samantha, followed by the end of it all. And what a way to go when Michael comes down with the pitchfork right through him, and he starts bleeding out all over top of her. Such an iconic, gory, cool, visceral scene in H5. One of my favorite moments in H5. And again, that's something, a recurring thing here. I've talked about it before. I love whenever Michael is seen wearing a mask other than his main one. Same here. I love whenever we see a different character wearing the Michael Myers mask. I usually love it. 99% of the time. So that's H5. Then we move into Curse. And maybe not a whole lot of wearing of the mask. No real pranksters here, at least not in the early parts of the film. But that doesn't mean that it's not without, because watch this. First of all, we get this, which is not a person wearing a Michael mask, but I always liked this "he's coming" statue slash decoration slash, I guess, graffiti that the neighborhood kids put out at the Myers house. So again, not a person wearing the mask, but it's still the mask featured on something other than Michael. And of course, we have all these great scenes. This is during my favorite scene in that whole film in Curse, when Mrs. Blankenship is kind of telling her the story of Halloween, and not wearing the Michael mask, but we actually see characters. This is something we'd never seen in the films before, carrying around these signs, "Michael is alive," and similar signage like that, just on Halloween. Um, it is the curse of Michael Myers, though, and in this one, clearly the curse has spread. But in the curse of Michael Myers, at the end, the producer's cut into the movie, there is a character that dons the iconic shape mask, and that character is, of course, Dr. Wynn, aka the Man in Black. In the producer's cut, it is a very different ending from the theatrical ending. In the producer's cut, it doesn't just end with Loomis walking back in to find Michael gone. It ends with Loomis walking back in to find who he thinks is Michael lying on the floor here. He goes down, speaking to Michael. He goes down, takes the mask off, and it is revealed to be Dr. Wynn, aka the Man in Black, the leader of the Cult of Thorn. And of course, Michael has put on the Man in Black outfit, and he rolls on out of that movie in a totally different look. This producer's cut is wild. Both cuts are insane. Curse, other than Season of the Witch, this was the most controversial and debated and divisive film in the franchise to date, easily, up until when this one was released. And either cut you watch, they're wildly different, and it's funny the areas that they're not different, that they're the same. It's wild seeing where they go different. And when I interviewed Daniel Farrens, he said, and I believe he's right, that the perfect movie is somewhere in between. It doesn't exist. It's not either of them. It's some combination of them that doesn't exist and was never made, unfortunately. But what a wild ending. So there is our one shot in Curse, when another character is definitely wearing Michael's mask. Then we go into H2O. Halloween H2O. In some ways, kind of a return to form. It kind of felt like, because you had Jamie Lee Curtis back, but really not. It was Halloween doing Scream in a lot of ways, with the Kevin Williamson involvement, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I love H2O. I love Kevin Williamson, and but it was very much a Scream Halloween movie in a lot of ways. Also, one of the rare Halloween movies that took place not in Haddonfield, at least mostly not in Haddonfield. It has a little bit in Haddonfield, but mostly doesn't take place in Haddonfield. But all that said, you're thinking, well, when was there ever a shot in there of somebody wearing Michael's mask other than Michael? Well, there was a shot. It's just that we didn't know at the time that it was somebody else other than Michael. We didn't know until Resurrection came out that the end of the movie, if you go by Resurrection's timeline, the end of the movie, this scene right here, Michael Myers kind of feeling around like, what is this on my head? What is this mask? Reaching out like as if to ask for help. We didn't know at the time. We thought it was just some weird reaction Michael was having to being crushed by a van against a tree. But we come to learn in that opening of Resurrection, of course, that, oh no, that was never Michael. That was a paramedic that Michael had put his mask on. So, yet another character gets to wear Michael's mask. And for yet another character, it does not go well for them at all. Even though he is just begging Laurie for help. Just can't talk because Michael chopped his tongue out. All right, so let's move into Resurrection. Now, easily one of the most divisive films in the franchise. Everybody has opinions on it. But one of the most unforgettable scenes has to be this moment here. When Busta Rhymes' character of Freddy puts on the Michael Myers mask, the whole outfit, and he starts walking through the Myers house. And then, without warning, we see another shape following him. This, of course, is the actual shape. This is Michael Myers. This is Brad Loree playing the Michael Myers. But what happens in this scene is this very surreal moment where we don't know what's going to happen. And then, of course, what happens is Busta Rhymes starts chewing out Michael Myers, talking through the mask. Very disrespectful of the shape, if you ask me. But that's another matter. I'm not here to debate the creative decisions of the film, other than to say Freddy definitely needed to pay worse than he paid. He needed to go down for this. It's a hilarious scene to watch. Don't get me wrong. It's damn hilarious. And definitely unexpected. But when I watch Resurrection, I prefer the on the DVD. I think I've told you guys on the DVD. There's actually an alternate cut where it is found footage. It is all cut from the footage that the characters filmed because those cameras were real that they have in the movie. So in essence, it cuts out the whole Laurie Strode stuff in the beginning, which I never really cared for that part much. You know, I like the H2O ending with that being Michael, but it's not if we include that. So I would always kind of prefer not to include that and just watch it as a found footage. It's a totally different way to watch it. You should watch it on the DVD if you never have. It's a cool bonus feature they have on there. Also, there is a deleted ending, alternate ending for the film, which I prefer much better. In which the character of Decker is actually the hero that saves Sarah, and Freddy gets what I think is the justice he has coming to him. But you can give me your thoughts on this. Easily one of the most divisive films in the franchise. This, probably one of the most divisive scenes in the franchise. But without a doubt, Freddy, one of the few characters to don the Michael Myers mask and survive through the credits. He's pretty happy with himself right about now, I think. So that brings us now to Rob Zombie's Halloween, the 2007 remake. And this is a great callback to the original. Who was the first person to ever put on Michael's mask other than Michael? Even before Michael? Well, it was Judith's boyfriend, Steve, putting on the clown mask in that opening scene of 78. So here, all these years later, 2007, it's not the opening scene, but when we finally get to Judith and her boyfriend, again named Steve, in this film, it is Steve that again puts on Michael's mask before Michael can. Only this time it's not the clown mask. Michael's already been wearing the clown mask for a while in this version. This time, Steve gets to put on the mask first. The shape mask. This one, Wayne Toth's. This one over here, Wayne Toth's iconic Michael Myers shape mask. And he puts it on, and Judith's like, "What are you doing? Take that thing off." And she kind of hits him, and he's like, "I want to do it with the mask on," remember? And then it ends up he being just left there. They do their thing. He goes down for a snack, and then, of course, Daig, our buddy Daig, as young Michael picks it up later, and there's a very jarring sequence of young Michael wearing now not the clown but the full size mask, which again is very surreal and very cool. But that's a case of Michael wearing Michael. But again, fascinating to me and a cool detail that it's Steve, Judith's boyfriend, in both versions of Halloween that puts on a version of Michael's mask before Michael even ever does in that film. But that's not all who messed with Michael's mask in the remake. In the director's cut now, because the escape scene in the theatrical cut is very different. The escape scene in the theatrical cut, of course, features the Devil's Rejects as the prison guards. And Michael breaks out by taking out the Devil's Rejects. In the director's cut, we have Lou Temple's character here, and he and the other Smith's Grove guard, they come in, they grab this girl out of her cell, and for whatever reason, they decide that not only do they want to have their way with her, but they want to do that in Michael's cell because they think that's fun. That's going to be fun. Not just destroying this girl, but let's go do it in Michael's cell. Needless to say, when Michael finally gets up and takes him out, there's a little sympathy, and it's a great moment. Like I'm literally cheering for Michael in this moment. But if you watch the scene closely, Michael takes no notice of anything they're doing with that poor girl throughout that scene. And everything they're saying to him, everything they're doing, one of them even smacks him upside the head at one point. He takes no notice of that. It's when this happens. When they pick up his masks. Remember, his whole cell is wallpapered with all his paper mache masks. This is Lou Temple picking up the mask. You see the other character, he also picks up mask, and they start putting on his masks that he made. And it's that moment that he gets up. It's that moment that he takes them out. And from there, he starts walking. He walks through Danny Trejo, even though he was good to him. He walks through Smith's Grove, and he walks right back home to Haddonfield. And that starts the whole thing there. It's not them bringing that girl in there. It's them touching his damn masks. But that's not all. Because Rob Zombie, of course, returned for a sequel called Halloween 2, in which Michael spent probably the most time he's ever spent on screen unmasked. That was crazy. But then, in the closing moments of the theatrical cut now, not the director's cut, which this is one where I definitely recommend the director's cut when it comes to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I recommend the director's cut. I actually like the director's cut ending better, but the theatrical ending was very shocking and memorable to me and really just unforgettable and seared in my brain for one big reason, and it's this: Laurie Strode wearing Michael Myers' mask at the end of H2. This moment when she comes out and she's still wearing her bloodied Rocky Horror costume, but she put his mask on it. It reminded me of when we saw Daig put the oversized white mask on in the beginning of '07. Such a weird image. So freaky. Just so wild. Disturbing. Unexpected. Weird. Which are all ways that I would describe this movie as a whole. Again, for me personally, I prefer the director's cut of this one, which doesn't have this ending. But this ending shocked me, just this imagery more than anything, and it is yet another moment of a character other than Michael Myers wearing Michael's mask. All right, so that brings us to the most recent films, the three most recent films from David Gordon Green and Blumhouse and Universal. So that brings us to Halloween 2018, and we can't talk about that, and we can't talk about people putting on Michael's mask without talking about this guy. Yeah, no discussion of somebody stealing Michael's mask and trying it on is complete without the illustrious Dr. Sartain. The illustrious, the insane, maybe, Dr. Sartain. I don't know about you guys, but the first time I saw this scene in theaters, I didn't know what to think. It was, again, to say shocking, unexpected, it blew me away. It was such a jarring, like, what is happening here? Where are they going with this? And then it didn't really go very far with any of it. And Sartain again got his justice for touching Michael's mask. This is the same film too, where it was really in a lot of ways, I think, the mask that really brings Michael back in a lot of ways. When of course Aaron and Dana show up at Smith's Grove, and they're not taunting him, but they're definitely trying to put it in his face. And even though he doesn't really react then and there with it, I think in a lot of ways it gets the blood flowing a little bit for the shape. Now, with Halloween Kills, this is actually, to my research, the only film where nobody actually puts on Michael's mask other than Michael. But we do have this iconic scene of Karen taking Michael's mask. She doesn't put it on. That might be what Rob Zombie would have done at that moment. But she takes it and says, "Come and get it," which he does. So that's as close as we get in Kills. Nobody wearing it, but still, somebody got to get their hands on it and use it for bait. And then that brings us, last but of course not least, to the tragic tale of one Corey Cunningham in the 13th and most recent Halloween film. It's called Halloween Ends. You know this. Corey Cunningham literally goes into the cave, fights Michael Myers, takes Michael's mask, puts it on, and kind of becomes Michael for a little while until Michael comes and wants his mask back, which inevitably will happen. And then that very mask, of course, ends up ultimately with Laurie Strode. And it's almost a weird, eerie callback to that Rob Zombie H2 ending in a weird way. She never puts it on, but she's there. She's happy, but then she's also saying in the book that evil never dies; it just changes shape. We can talk about what all that may or may not mean forever, but Corey Cunningham putting on Michael's mask, unlike anybody before him. Yeah, I mean, we saw people do it to prank others. We saw people do it um, mostly to prank others. We saw some people do it to scare others, but we never saw anybody do it quite like Corey did, literally becoming the shape. Different boots, though. You can see here, different boots. Doesn't have the exact same iconic black boots as the shape does, but all right, so there you go. That's our roundup of every time any character in the Halloween movies, other than Michael Myers, decided to put on Michael Myers' mask. Now, we might have missed some, and if so, I look to you now to let us know. Who did we miss? And of these, what of these moments had you forgotten about? What of these moments are some of your favorite moments? What of these moments are your least favorite moments? Do you like these moments when other characters try on the Shapes mask? Do you find it disrespectful? Do you dislike it when they do that? Are you ready to see him stomp their skull like a grape the way he did Sartain? I think I know how some of you guys feel. I want to hear from you guys in the comments below on everything we've talked about here.